What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And in today's video we have my full playthrough video of one of the earlier levels of this treasure map, of course, up against Big Mom or Kid, however you want to look at it. One thing that's kind of interesting that I did notice about this treasure map is that the birds are guaranteed this time around. I don't know if this is going to be a thing moving forward where you're just guaranteed to get them, and I think honestly, due to the fact that we don't have the mini bosses anymore, it would make a ton of sense for the birds to be guaranteed, because otherwise if you don't get that, it just means you only have to get to the end and just fight Big Mom, so that would be a little strange. So making Kid guaranteed does make a bit of sense. But anyways, into talking about this Kid fight. Of course, we're going to be using the friend captain Sanji and Reiju to get the most amount of points possible. And we're going to be starting off as Reiju. We do that for both variations because we just want to ensure, specifically versus the Big Mom fight, where it's the most important, is to ensure that we actually get the full team of one of every color, because that actually triggers the full abilities of Sanji and Pudding in order to remove chain attack down and also remove 10 turns of special bind, which is very important. So having access to the new rare recruits of Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji, all of those characters have very interesting crewmate abilities, very reminiscent of Zoro and Lucci that came out recently, where it will just proc whenever the enemy gets a defensive effect just to remove 2 turns of it. So if you have all 3 of them, this stage is completely free. However, if you don't have that, you have to run a little bit of a weird scenario. So with the Beppo support to remove 2 turns of Rainbow Shield on this stage, and the special ability of Nami and Karina, we can remove all of the defensive effects, as well as get a bunch of bonus abilities too. And then there is also Resilience, but we can remove that via that switch ability of Sanji and Reiju, which whenever you switch with them will inflict a poison on the enemy side of the field. Now when you get to the final stage, there's 5 turns of bind on your crewmates, but the Sanji and Reiju can deal with that. There are block and bomb slots. We have the support of Brûlé to remove those block slots for us as well. We also have the Sanji Reiju special removing that damage nullification. Very important that we have that. You do see that Mihawk support proc there. Very powerful support to not only do end of turn damage, which helps us get around the resilience, but it also will go ahead and set the enemy's defense to 0 for 1 turn, meaning that we just don't have to worry about removing increased defense this turn when we can just fully dedicate our specials to getting rid of % damage reduction and damage threshold, both of which are removed via the Frankie special. I actually changed the team a little bit, and I ended up putting Legend Brook support on Frankie, the Quick Brook, to get us a damage reduction effect, which synergizes well with the Sanji and Reiju, which says that we get % damage reduction based attack boost. You see that I used the switch effect of Luffy and Law there. Realistically, you don't have to do that, because Kid does have a slot damage reduction effect, which means that you have to hit him with anything that isn't Strength Dex Quick Sight Int. So the switch ability of Luffy and Law, not really a great choice here. You just want to, utilize G Recovery or Semler, which you can get via the special ability of the Bonnie. But you do have to, make sure you have the right tags on your team in order to get that to activate. So yeah, Kid is a little tricky just in terms of the defensive effects. There's a lot of defensive effects that you have to get around. But aside from that, really not that much. Just a ton of defensive effects, so, nothing too crazy. Another thing to note about TM as well is, of course, as you play, you will acquire a bunch of rewards. You can actually get another Aurora Gem, so another good opportunity to secure that and, conserve them for whenever a big banner comes out with a bunch of units that you're missing. We are still anticipating them to release characters that are solely built to be released on Aurora Gem banners. We don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon, but a lot of people think that that's going to happen, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So the next boss that we're going to get to eventually is going to be that final boss against Big Mom. And it's crazy just because we don't have these mini bosses anymore. Just, you only have to worry about the intrusion and the final boss. So, getting through runs is much faster now. Getting to those 10 million or above thresholds is much faster now, which I think is a good thing generally speaking. I think that for the hardcore players, this is probably a bad change, because it means that you have to do you'll go deeper into your runs much faster, meaning that the enemy's HP will scale much faster, because I know that eventually, for the high-end players, when you get deep into TM, you're going to have to change your team up a lot in order to do a ton of damage, right? So this is the team that we have here. We're going to be utilizing the friend captain once again of Sanji and Reiju, starting off as Reiju so we can switch into Sanji. When we do that, it will give us a Psy unit with Sanji, which means we will then have one of every color on the team, which is important. Now, the supports on this team are also pretty good. We've got that Brûlé. We have the Mr. 3 support, which can give us damage reduction on the final stage to synergize well with the fact that Sanji and Reiju give us a damage reduction based attack boost, but the also effect of Big Mom, she does a 150,000 death hit, and I mean, we can naturally tank that anyway, but just by having the damage reduction via the support allows us to get some free damage from the Sanji and Reiju special, which is obviously good. We also have the support of Strength Sober Mask on Nami and Karina. It just basically says anytime we're inflicted with Bind and Despair, we get a 1.5 times attack boost for the team. And that's just really nice just to get a 50% damage bonus on stage 2. And the final support on this team is going to be attached to Bonnie, which is the Dex Vegapunk Legend. And that just says that anytime we're inflicted with attack down, it removes 1 turn of it, which is redundant for this team. But more importantly, it gives us a 0.7 chain boost, which is really nice because while the Sanji and Reiju captain ability removes chain attack down, it only removes the chain attack down, the one where if your chain exceeds a certain value, it will give you that attack down. It doesn't remove the one where it's like if your chain is below a certain threshold. So you do have to be careful about that. So because we do have to still exceed a 2.5 chain, we do want some kind of chain boost on our team just to make sure that we actually are doing some serious damage. So by activating the rest of our specials here, I wouldn't ideally suggest to use the Kid special, but you can do it if you want to, because remember, Kid does consume type slots. So depending on, the activation order of specials, that could really screw you up. But either the Kid special or the Pudding special to remove the 6 turns of attack down, very, very important to do that. But honestly, depending on how the team goes, like you could change things up, honestly, just running as many point boosts as I possibly can to get the job done. But anyways, that is pretty much it for the TM runs. I will probably upload a YouTube short showing all of my legend pulls from the treasure map sometime soon, so definitely stay tuned for that. Hopefully you enjoyed the video though. If you did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and I wish you guys the best of luck on your treasure map grind. Hopefully it goes well. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.